morning. It's Connecting Communities with Brian J. and Laura Lee.
Good morning.
Better at that. I no longer laugh in the middle of it, right? Because it's very, it just flows. Say it, everybody. Connecting Communities with Brian J. and Laura Lee.
Laura Lee.
What is that like for like the, what is that called? Alliteration?
Alliteration, yeah, with the two L's, yes. It is. I'm so proud of you. Good job. So early in the morning, too.
I always was, not that I'm, pat myself on my back, but when it came to speaking, I always had a very good speaking voice. And I'm about to say I'm illiterate. Wrong word. I use words gracefully and completely. Now look at that. Apparently,
and as you're touting up your speaking prowess, you're just like, all the words have gone from your brain. Like, I totally understand that.
Yeah, like writer's block. I'm like, what am I trying to say? Where am I? What is today?
For sure.
Well, listen, before we dive into lots of topics I want to talk about, I want to make sure that we thank our sponsors, because without them, we would not be able to come out here and hang out on a weekly basis, because we'd have to be someplace else. So lucky for us and you, the listeners and viewers, the sponsors take care of that for you. So number one, I tried to memorize this, right? We have, of course, our Dance Fam Studio. So if you're looking to cha-cha your way, that's where you're going to want to hang out with Kristen, which was our guest last week.
Yep.
We also have Stratus Building Solutions. They will take care of cleaning your lives, right? At least your surrounding lives. And we don't travel you, okay? We are commercial only, no residential. So if you have some needs, check them out, and we can have a conversation and see what can happen at the end of the day. We also have the Contact Farmer. I think what he was saying was a hug and a card, right? I no longer have it, but I do keep my cards. I have one of Rocco that he had sent. I've gotten 3 or 4 from him. It's a cool kind of concept, and they do different promotions all the time, which is pretty awesome as well. I don't even know who I said. Let's go alphabetical order again. Help me out here, Laura. We have the Contact Farmer.
Contact Farmer, Dance Fam, Stratus, and who's the other one that you just did?
I know, right? I should really be more organized with this.
We need more coffee here this morning.
Yeah, this is, by the way, I speak very well. I use a lot of words.
I do business.
Oh my God. I told Jackson the other day, I don't even know what it was, but instead of something that like, I forgive you, I was like, I offer you forgiveness. He looked at me like I was absolutely crazy. And then I realized why he was looking at me like I was crazy. Because like, who says that, right?
No, but see, sometimes I feel like for parenting, you definitely need to do that. Just like change things up every once in a while, keep them on their toes. Be like,
just make sure they're listening to you. Is that what it is?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I would do. Like, just like, I'm a big fan of like just. My ex would do that all the time when he would think that I was like on my taps and not paying attention to him. Okay. He would just like start saying random words and be like, I can hear just your random nonsensical words. Like, I get it.
I feel you.
So yeah, that's another fun one to do.
Sidebar, Apollo, they took care of our app. They can take care of yours, right? And then we also have Justin, which this is Justin's last month with us with Remax Preferred. And then, that's all of our sponsors. I forgot about poor Apollo, because we can be found on the app, right? So Apollo, Dance Studio, Stratus, as well as the Contact Farmer. So again, thank you so much for that sponsors. Tap. When you said that made me chuckle. Right?
Yeah.
Because I recently, for Valentine's Day, ended up buying this little tin that said, your totes amazing. Now, as a joke, Andrew's van is called Totes My Goats. This van is a beast, right? Because it totes the goats. So he has a bumper sticker that says totes the goats. I mean, it's so funny. So when I saw this, that was my first thought, right? So then, listen, I come home and I'm like, I don't understand what this means. So I'm like trying to say it slow. Your totes amazing. I say it fast. Totes amazing. Totes amazing. Okay. I spend 35, 45 minutes trying to figure out what this means until I say, Google, what does totes amazing mean? I found out that totes, do you know this, Laura?
Is totally.
Old.
I was gonna say, you're sounding a little grandpa-y. Little grandpa. That's okay. Just a wee bit.
I literally was totes amazing. Totes amazing. Two tests amazing. Like I was trying everything.
Oh my gosh.
Totally.
You're so funny. It means totally. Yeah, we know. And so the other one, here's the other one that is used all the time. And it's, I know what it means, but like the kids use it in weird ways. So like it's sus. Do you know what sus means?
Sus. Oh, I did. Oh my gosh, wait, I did.
I mean, it just means suspect. Like, and it comes from all
not what I was thinking.
Among Us. Oh, okay. It comes from playing Among Us because like of the way that game works, there's like an imposter and it's like who do you suspect, and it's like, you know, shortened as they just type sus. But there's so many times like I hear my niece and she's 16 and she'll say sus, and I'm like, okay, I know it means suspect and I know that means shady to kids, and like I know, but it's like the way she uses it in another context, and I'm like, I don't know. It has an alternate meaning already, and I don't understand.
Sorry, I'm going in and out here.
I was like, whoa, what happened? I thought I was like, oh, I'm the host now.
Surprise! I'm out. Which I should tell you guys, Laura does not want to be a solo host. A couple weeks ago, there was a hiccup in a schedule, and I was like, hey, Laura, do you want to handle this? She goes, no. No.
That'd just be too much responsibility for your brand. I'm here to host. I'm here to co-host and help and pump you up, but I don't want the whole thing.
Listen, I will take that. I will take that, please. Rocco, let go. Let go,
What's
Rocco.
He playing with?
Rocco, I got him a new. Look, see, there's my cabinets. Rocco's getting excited. Okay. There we are. So I got him pigs.
Oh.
Okay. And I got 3 pigs for $9.99. Okay. I was very excited because normally at like PetSmart they're like $6.99.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was stoked. However, what I've noticed with these pigs, we're down to 2. Is that they make noise. And when I'm on air or doing a meeting and I hear it's just not the best sound. So now he will sit beside me.
I don't know why, Brian, if you think that's distracting or whatever. Like it's normal pig sounds. I'm not sure.
Right, life with a pig. I want a pig.
Like a house, like a little teacup pig, or like a pig.
Ooh, like a full on. I want a house pig, one that I could bring in the house and hang out with, like keep in the house. Yeah. But I was told no, that I can't have a pig.
I do think that. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that they're hard to keep clean to be in the house.
Listen, pigs are really clean though.
I know,
minus the mud bath. The mud bath. I was gonna say, they do the mud bath to keep themselves like moisturized and cooled, and they like to sleep messy. They like their bedding messy. Yeah. Like they like to tear that all up. That would be my problem. I'll tell you what. I had the dogs over the weekend, and they were on a absolute tear with toys. Like I have this giraffe, and I usually will let them play, or no, it's a dragon, but I'll usually let them play with toys like
even after they tear out all the stuffing and whatnot, because
Yeah.
they will, they'll keep playing with it. And like you said, those things are not inexpensive. So, shoot, if you're still playing with it, even though it doesn't have stuffing or squeakies, I'm gonna let you.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. As long as they're not eating it.
Well, and see, that's what we got into this weekend, is like just and it wasn't so much eating as it's just like pulling off tiny little bits and leaving them all over my house. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. So, but of course that means now that I had to take the toys away, but of course that means I have to get new toys too. So obviously it's not like they're left without.
Right.
So what other toys does Rocco like? Does he prefer?
He loves ropes. Yeah, if it's a rope, he is all about it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do well with other really toys because he eats them. I bought him this really cool one. It lasted 4 minutes. And and he eats. Like, he doesn't just nibble. He he's just a beast. But he's a puppy, and that's what they do. They're chewers.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm grateful that I have the toys for him to chew, and he doesn't chew my furniture. He has not chewed any furniture except for my rug. He did eat the rug, and that is when I punished him by giving him fixed.
Oh yeah.
So he didn't know the appointment was already scheduled. Okay. I just said, well, look, now that you ate the rug, this is what's happening.
Now you
okay. Right.
Snip, snip, brah.
He has not ate the rug since. That's all I'm saying.
If it works, it works.
Yeah. I do promise I had it scheduled beforehand, though. Okay. I don't use it.
Right. It wasn't a direct correlation from rug to neuter. Right.
Right. Listen, I've been watching Law and Order. Okay. I know how this stuff works.
I know someone would be calling PETA on you for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Well, when I went to Bell Island, I was walking over toward the cliff to see the view, and I had said, look, guys, I saw Law and Order already. This is how an episode always starts. There's some tourist somewhere looking over, and now all of a sudden they see the body.
And just I'm not gonna be that guy. Yeah.
Do you know that ducks go underwater?
Yeah.
We counted 17 seconds that this duck was just hanging underwater, and then he just popped up.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's you wouldn't think, because it looks like they struggle to get down there too, because they're so buoyant, but they can stay under for a really long time. Yeah, it's impressive.
They go deep. I thought maybe if they were going to go, their head would be down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But their whole body is immerged in this water. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy on how they can keep themselves down. I wonder what they do. I'd like to see a camera and see what that looked like.
Yeah, see the little feet going like that.
Yeah. Right? So what's up? How's your week? My week has been absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
What's your week been like?
I feel like my week's been the same. I had we did have, so most colleges are not giving spring breaks this year because of obviously the infection possibilities from that. So we're not having spring break. So we've got these 4 or 5 mental health days, and so we just get long weekends. So I did have one of those last week. So I didn't have class on Thursday.
Do they call it mental health days?
Yeah, they call them mental health days. Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
Yeah, and so that means you don't have any classes on Thursdays or Fridays, and so you have a nice long weekend.
Are you BG or UT?
This is at BG. But I think that's, all colleges are doing it. Whatever they call it, I'm sure varies.
Yeah,
but,
I think that's cool of BG to being progressive to call them mental health days, right?
You know what? And you would think BG being down kind of in BG, Bowling Green. It's kind of it's not in the city. They actually have a lot of really student-centered and progressive policies. Yeah. They're, I really wish I could kind of go back and I wish I could go back in time and redo my undergrad and have done that at BG. Yeah, I think that would have been better. But yeah, so I had Thursday off last week, so that was nice. But then the weekend just seemed really busy. And I have a presentation tonight, so that I've been getting ready for, trying to figure out the best way to do that. It's not really one of those easy throw it on a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm still figuring out the best way to present it. It's due at 6. I'll figure it out.
Just do it 6. It's okay. I still got lunch.
Right, for sure.
I gotta figure out what I'm eating for lunch.
Yeah.
What do you eat for lunch now that you work from home? What do you eat for lunch?
So I do have to admit that I've been very bad with like the ordering out. I'm not a person that
You're
just, like,
supporting the economy, Laura, in times of need.
That's the way. And I do try to make sure to order from like local restaurants too. I don't order from I try not to order from chains, but I'm just not a cooker.
Okay.
I just like my if I don't order out, like I'm having either a box of macaroni and cheese or like a bowl of cereal for lunch.
Okay.
Like,
so those are your go-tos.
Yeah, funny. So earlier or last year at the beginning of the pandemic, I've been public about this on social media. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but at the beginning of the pandemic last year, I separated from my husband at the time, bought a new house, moved in, by myself, and was basically alone, not like for 4 weeks straight, and sort of that was not a great look for Laura. So I had to take a little mental health vacation to the 7th floor at Flower Hospital for a few days, which is fine. Some people, everybody has a journey. It was honestly, the best 5 days that I think I had in 2020. One wouldn't think being hospitalized would be that, but I gained so much clarity out of it and learned so much about myself. And one of the things that I learned about myself is that I have this thing called borderline personality disorder. And one of the things about that is that your sort of like emotional growth and like parts of your emotional well-being are sort of like stunted at certain ages. And so like mine is sort of like, I'm sort of like stunted at like 16 on certain things. And like one of them is obviously my diet because here I am living on cereal and Pop-Tarts and mac and cheese and Coke and like, keeping the only staple in my house is ice cream. So it's like, it's fine.
Here's the real question though. Okay, here's the real ice cream or question. What kind of ice cream is it?
Okay, so like it really depends. It just depends on the week, on the cravings. I'm a huge mint chocolate chip fan. Kroger has this kind called unicorn swirl, which is like a bubblegum flavored and has actual ice cream frosting, has actual like frosting in it. So I'm a big fan of that one. Caramely stuff. I'm not too picky. Strawberry.
Okay. No, I'm with you. I like ice cream
for lunch now.
Yeah, I like ice cream. There isn't any ice cream. I mean, I guess I could try the pistachio. I never have. I like the mint. I mean, I like peanut butter.
So I don't have to.
Anything cheesecake. Now, I will tell you that in my weight loss, I switched ice cream brands to Halo because it's a heck of a lot less calories. And they have some good ones. Cookie dough is good. The blueberry swirl is good.
Ooh, I haven't had that one.
Yeah, I just got, or blueberry crumble. I just got Ben & Jerry's because they have a almond milk brand or a non-dairy.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. But I gotta get back on my Halo because if I'm gonna eat the ice cream, I at least gotta make it less calories.
But you know what? And Halo is one of those that actually it doesn't taste like, that's the thing of like when you do like I remember, growing up in the 90s, it was the low fat frozen yogurt. That was the thing.
TCBY, right?
Exactly, TCBY. Exactly. And so that but you could always tell there was a taste difference. There's a texture difference. But Halo, I don't really taste or feel that much of a difference from.
There's some flavors that I'm not a fan of. I'm like, nope, I'm good. And there's some other flavors that I really like. Now, I will say Halo, you've got to let it sit on the counter for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah,
after
you
you
gotta
pull it out
like
of the freezer.
soften it up. Yeah.
But I keep my ice cream in a Ziploc bag after I open it.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So I keep my ice cream in a Ziploc bag because that
How do you
way,
do
every
that?
time I dip into it, it feels like it's the first time opening it. It doesn't get hard. And I don't get chunks. I get like creamy ice cream.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never
Yeah.
heard of that trick before. I'm gonna have to
Yep.
try that.
Ziploc bag. If we
Interesting.
open my
Yeah.
freezer right now, I got ice cream in a Ziploc bag.
I love
You know,
that
no, I like
though.
but I totally do. Because again, it doesn't give it that frostbite because sometimes you get that layer of ice cream that
Yeah.
just has like the ice on it.
Yep.
It's like you're opening up for the first time. It's just super easy to scoop and move.
Yeah, that's like such a smart idea because it's after you open it that first time, it gets like a little freezer burn on the top, and it's never the same as that first scoop. So
That's why I
awesome.
eat the whole gallon of ice cream the first time.
I mean, word. That's the excuse I'm going to use, at least.
Yeah.
So.
Can you find yourself eating a whole bag of chips in one setting?
So yes, I was going to say, I'm not as much of a salty person, but then I was like, girl, put a bag of Gardettos in front of you and you will smash the whole thing. So yeah, it depends on what it is.
I'm really into the pretzel chips.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
yeah.
have you had them?
Oh yeah, with the different like flavor blastings on the top.
I love the everything and the garlic parmesan are two of my favorites.
Good one.
I do have a black peppercorn in there that I'm waiting to try.
Now do you dip them in anything?
It's hummus.
Oh, yeah. You know what else is a good one is cheese. Cream cheese.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Not
seasoned cream cheese?
Oh no, just regular cream cheese.
Because I like to season my cream cheese. So I like to, and I got this from one of my mother-in-laws. Cream cheese with taco seasoning. Wrap it in a tortilla.
Oh goodness. I bet.
And I cut up some onion and green pepper and throw that in there as well for a crunch.
Yeah, for sure.
With a little lime juice.
Yes, look at you. That's so nice and easy.
Yeah, it is easy. Speaking of easy, we have a pretty awesome guest coming in today, Andrew Stapleton. He is with Edward Jones, right? But he, oh gosh, I met him in a coffee shop in Findlay. As I was hanging out there doing things when we were, face to face, which we got to talk about that face to face. So great conversation. We chatted, we connected there a couple times after, and then he jumped on board with us. And I've really been able to see him grow over the last year, especially during COVID. As you can imagine, being a financial advisor to try to grow during COVID is kind of non-existent. So folks that are still in that market and have been thriving in that, I have so much respect for. But recently we branched him out to his own little podcast, which is a lot of fun. And I can't wait for him to share that information with you guys once he is able to pop on in here. So that'll be kind of cool. Awesome. So that is our guest today. I can't wait to talk about some political stuff going on.
Yeah,
we've been quiet about Biden and Harris.
Well, that's what's it's interesting that we talked today because we've got our first issue, or first action of that President Biden has taken that is not quite what we're hoping for, and it's
I want to dive into that, but I do want to bring Andrew in with us, and so we can kind of hear about him. But we're going to talk Biden today, okay? So Biden Harris, 2021. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and bring Mr. Andrew in here. So let's all pretend that we just don't hear him. I can't do that.
No.
Yes, I can. You're like, I can't do that.
You're such a teaser.
Andrew, your mic is there. You go. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? We got a theme song going on, and it is custom that the guest sings the theme song. So I'm going to go
who's the guest?
You are our guest today, Andrew. So that's one. On the count of three, the guest takes on the theme song. So 1, 2, and 3.
I don't know the lyrics.
I love it. I understood it.
Brian.
Laura, did you understand it? I'm looking up. Laura, did you understand it?
Oh, Brian, you're such a teaser.
I'm going to start doing that with each guest. I'll be like, sing our theme song. Andrew, that's one of the reasons why I respect you, man, because you will always go with the punches and flow it down, and it's always a good conversation with you. I'm always learning something when I chat with Andrew. So, Andrew, I want to introduce Laura. I'm not sure where she is to you, but she isn't me, so she's the only other one in here. And Laura, back at you. I want to introduce you to my buddy Andrew Stapleton. Stapleton, right?
Stapleton, yeah. It's like so my name should have 2 E's in a row, but it only has 1.
Right. You should add 1. I think everyone is entitled to change their name. You're over 18, just do it.
Even if I don't officially change it, I should just sign my name with 2 E's from now on.
Right. And be like, look, it's not valid. So that car, you didn't sell it to me. Okay, you sold it to Stapleton. Okay, I'm Stapleton. Laura, do you get confused, or do you get confused by your name? Do people get confused by your name?
So my married name is Dirks, and it shouldn't be that hard to say. It should, or like look at, it's just Dierks. And plus there's that, there's the country guy too, Dirks Bentley. So most people, I would think know that, but no, people struggle. They're like, Dirks? And I'm like, no, it's little. Yeah, they really want to put the DIE and make it die in there. So no, I will. But that's actually fun stuff. That's only going to be the name for the next 90 days, and then it's going back.
Are you going back?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep, Andrew, I'm going through a divorce, which just got finalized, and that's getting and so I get to go back to my maiden name after 15 years. I'm kind of excited.
What is that? What's your maiden name?
Gherkin. Much easier. It's just Gerken. Much easier for people.
You ate the food. Okay.
Yeah, much easier. So,
Susan kept the last name after our divorce, and Holly did not. And which that was good.
And that's what I told my ex. I was like, don't take it personal or anything, but it's like, I sit here at my desk and I have my college degrees all, up here, and they're all in my maiden name. And so I'm like, I'm getting another, I told him, I'm like, it's only because I'm in school and getting another degree, and I just want them all to match. I'm a completist.
Yeah, I get it.
I have a question. So what do you say when someone says they're like finalizing their divorce or they're getting divorced? Like what is the response you say? I mean, you don't say like congratulations. You don't say
you read the room, right? You figure out how their tone is when they're like, if they're like, it's 90 days, you just read it, right? But I get it. Like, what do you say? Like, whoa, good for you.
Yeah, great, man.
Yeah, totally. It's so funny. I ran into this girl, and she was like, yeah, I just got divorced. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, no, it's a good thing. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad.
I know. And you would think we would have better responses to this, because it's not like divorce is a random thing that happens.
There's no Hallmark
card
for it.
There should be. I'm shocked that there's not.
There should be a card for that. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure that we have some opportunity and time. It's a packed show today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but most importantly, we want to talk about you, Andrew, right? Before we brought you in, I gave him a quick snippet about you being a financial advisor with Edward Jones, which is crazy during COVID. Anyone in the financial industry that's still rocking and rolling a year into COVID is, hats off, and has my respect into that. But then we really dove into the new thing that you've been doing the last couple months now at this point. I didn't share any secrets, so no one knows. So that we kind of tease it out. It's super exciting. You're also a new dad again, ish at this point now. how old? 6?
We're still keeping
5?
track of the age in months. So
Okay.
5.
Okay, I was thinking 5 or 6. So woo,
yeah.
good thing.
Yep.
How's life
she's still
going with
alive.
that?
She's still alive. So we're doing our job as parents.
Still alive.
Yeah. It's although, last night she cried until like, I don't know, it was like 1 a.m. And so I'm rested though. I'm rested. Everything's going well. We're healthy. Good. So it's going well.
Nice. So what do you do on the weekends as a family? Do you guys kind of just hang out together? I'm sure there's still routines that are trying to be put in place.
We're pretty good about the routine already. Vivian, who's my 12-year-old stepdaughter, has a very busy schedule and she swims. So the thing about people that swim is swimming's not like a season. And there is a swimming season, but once the swimming season's over, there's another swimming season. And then once that's over, there's another swimming season. So it's never ending. Yeah. Swimming's one of those year-round things. So every Saturday.
And it's all very early in the morning too. Yeah.
Yes, typically, but this year they're doing virtual meets, which just means that it's kind of a crazy thing that their team goes to the local YMCA and they'll swim the events, but they'll just do it amongst themselves, and then they'll compare their times to the team that they should be swimming against, who's also doing a virtual meet somewhere else. So that is every Saturday. So Brooke takes both girls with her, and then James and I hang out and do whatever it is that we want to do. So that's our routine. James and I hang out Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and then we convene as a family on Saturday evening. But it's bringing us back to somewhat normalcy, I guess. Historically, I've gone to the meets, but it's been cool because I've got to hang out with James. So
I've seen these videos on TikTok of babies that have been born during, in the past year and have just not had the socialization that, you normally get in that first year because you're not around, you're not visiting aunts and uncles and grandparents and having friends over and whatnot. So I've seen videos on TikTok of people like taking their kid to the grocery store and it's the baby just being like, oh, whoa.
Have you guys, those are hilarious.
Yeah. Have you guys had that struggle with having a new quarantine baby?
Well, before this happened, James would go to a babysitter with a lot of other kids. It's funny because he went to the same babysitter that I went to when I was growing up. And so, it's crazy. I think that's why I'm so social, is because when I was his age, I was constantly around other kids. He started out with that same trajectory, but then obviously COVID happened. And so it's always in the back of my mind. I don't know if Brooke thinks about it, but the fact that I don't know that we'll be able to see the impacts of this, maybe not for a few more years. And it's probably going to be with a lot more people than just me and my kids. But I don't know. How is that going to look with kids who weren't able to get that same social experience because of this health pandemic?
Yeah. Crazy.
I think I've said it on here. I can't imagine I haven't. We haven't had a conversation about Laura and Andrew. We've probably said it in our meetings as well, which is 10 a.m. Eastern time every Wednesday. Did you like that?
Nice plug.
Good. Yeah. 3rd to 4th grade, 8th to 9th grade, right? I think those are really big transitions. No, I'm not just saying that because my kid was a 3rd to 4th grader, but I feel like in that 3rd grade transition, you're learning that talking in the hallway is no longer allowed, right? Like you get that social piece is sliding out. And Jackson missed that being a 3rd grader last year. So I feel like those transitions, we're going to see them in another 5 years because there was something that was lacking at that point. That 9th grader, I think that's going to be so hard as they're going back to school this year. I mean, they're in the middle. Jackson went back to school and he didn't know half of his class because they had split the 3rd grade into two sections. So when he was in school, he never associated with them. So, I think those things are super, super important. And I think we're going to see the ramifications of that in another, 5 years.
I think that that end of school transition too. I'm an advisor for a sorority at BG as well, and we've been seeing that a lot with girls. Is it's the ones that they graduated in the pandemic and now have started their done their whole freshman year of college in the pandemic, and it's been a struggle for a lot of people to transition, make that college transition too, where I think what the ages that you mentioned, Brian, the 3rd to the 4th and the 8th to 9th, that's where you start to gain gain more independence and more autonomy as a person. And same going into college. And it's just it's so hard to do that. I'm thankful of being older and being the age that I am, and more having some more social development, because I just can't imagine what it's like for the kids and all these people trying to
like graduate college now, or any of that stuff right now. It's just I can't imagine.
In saying that, I also believe try to figure out how to say this, my apologies. No, because this is a serious situation, and I think that we as a society, as a millennial or whatever, I mean, I don't think it affects my generation. Maybe Andrew's generation. Laura, I think you probably started that piece, or I think my generation started it. But long story short, I also think there's a lot of awareness when it comes to self, right? Especially when it comes to identity aspects. There's a lot more outreach, and it's okay. It's more okay than what it was, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So it's hard in that situation, because when you are trying to find yourself and you have no outreach, right, that isn't there because you're not used to that, and now it's gone, that's hard. For me, what was hard during this pandemic is I'm a pretty social person, right? I was going to fundraisers and going to events and attending events and, getting dressed up and going out and doing the zoo to do, or doing the imagination birthday bash, or doing, whatever that was. And it all ended, for 1 year. And I walked into a restaurant yesterday that I used to visit every week, networking wise, and I'd have meetings there too. And they had just opened up within the last 2 weeks. And it was so cool to see this restaurant, moving around. And I was able to catch up with some of the servers that I hadn't talked to for a year. And, she had just got married and now she's pregnant. It was just, it was just a moment. And then things just started happening. I heard that Mud Hens opens up April 6th, baby. Opening, and they're doing an opening week because they have cut everything down, right? So only a selected amount are going to be allowed in per game. So they're going to be doing an opening week. So all week you can get fun times. Thank you, sponsors. Appreciate that.
Brian started off that episode, Andrew. Brian started off the episode touting about his words and how well he speaks. It's been just, it's been a hot roller coaster since then. So.
Yes. The choice of words are very important in that situation. Look, we all know what opening day downtown baseball game looks like. I'm going to be there. Okay. So that happened. I threw my name into a piece that I'm super passionate about and I want to dive back into, which is LLS. If everyone remembers, I participated in the last 3 years. The first year I was a part of a team and working in fundraising for LLS, Leukemia and Lymph Node Society. And then the second year, I was a nominee. And then the third year, don't ask me why, but I ran again nationwide. So I wanted to, again, jump on board and do something. So I just feel like things are coming back. Like I'm starting to get back and network, and I got to go get a tux now. And I'm just excited to get back in this happening. So what are you guys feeling? What are you guys seeing? Andrew, you're in Findlay, right? Ish. Ish. What does your town look like? What are you guys doing in your community?
I was just thinking as you were talking about all this, we lots of times we take certain things for granted. When did we ever think that being able to go out and do the things that you're talking about, having missed out on, that we'd ever take that for granted, right?
Yeah.
So it's like as we get back into this, it's almost we're a kid in a candy store again. It's that Christmas morning feeling you get when you see all those presents under the tree. And here we will be a year later taking it for granted again, right? But I just to have to do that, to be able to get back into that, I think it's fantastic, and it kind of gives you some perspective on something that isn't guaranteed, but you always thought it would. Like, who would have thought this would have happened?
Yeah. No, I get that. Laura, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think that you're right. The little things that we took for granted are just, I know that, like, I know I have a list of restaurants that I'm going in Toledo that I'm going to immediately, as soon as I get my first Fauci ouchie, and like going to a Mud Hens game is on the list. Just walking around downtown Toledo, all of those things, going to the zoo, which I know a lot of those you can do too. I don't know if you guys have experienced this or yet, but like in the last few weeks, I have felt a little bit more comfortable because all of my parents now have at least their first vaccine. So it's like I've never really been worried about myself so much during this whole pandemic, but I've just been worried about my parents. So like I know I have felt lighter knowing that they've all gotten, and not that I'm not, being smart, and I double mask and do all that, and I basically live in this chair behind this computer anyway, so so it's not like I'm going anywhere and doing anything. But I'm just excited for those little things, like Andrew said, that we've taken it, we've just gotten so used to and have faded into the background of our lives, and now they're more forefront, and so it's time for us to appreciate that more.
For sure.
I just can't believe Fauci ouchie. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Is that
I heard
like
it
a
on
thing?
a podcast.
Did you just make that up, or is that like a mainstream thing people are saying?
No, I heard it on a podcast once, and I've been obsessed with it. So yeah, I'm trying to make it a thing.
Please vote if you like.
Fauci ouchie.
Fauci ouchie. Oh, there is our new theme song. Please connect your community. Good times with Brian J. and Laura Lee.
So Andrew, I have to say I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to like financial advisor people, because my ex was a financial advisor, so I've been in that world for like the last like 15 years. So tell us about how'd you get into doing your job, and what is it about
working for like Edward Jones, which I know is one of the better, one of the more I don't know how to say, like, not one of the better, but like
more reputable.
One of the established.
One of the more customer centered. That's what I'm saying. One of the more customer centered too groups.
Well, the reason I got into a career change, if you will, and chose this is because I had a family, right? So I loved what I was doing before. I was the operations manager for a manufacturing facility of probably about 130 people, and I loved it. There was nothing about the job that I disliked. Then I got married, had kids, and I realized, I don't want one day to wake up and be told, oh, your job is moving to fill in the blank, right? I wanted to control my own destiny and have that opportunity to grow roots where I wanted to, and watch my kids grow up. And the only way that I can control my own schedule is to own my own business. So the one thing that was going through my mind is they've done studies on this, and they've interviewed people who were literally on their deathbed, and they said, if you could go and do anything in your life differently, or do you have any advice for people who are still living their lives, what would you tell them? And most of the time those people would say, I wouldn't have worried so much, and I would have spent more time with my loved ones. And so for me, I'm going to worry. Like, that's me. I don't know how I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm going to be on my deathbed saying, I wish I wouldn't have worried so much. Right. But I'm never going to say, I wish I would have spent more time with my loved ones. So having the opportunity to own my own business and grow roots where I want, control my own destiny, was the reason that I got into this. And I've invested since I've been 6 years old. In sixth grade. I got my first stock when I was in sixth grade. So it's always been a passion of mine. So here I am. This is how I came to be.
Awesome. Yeah, my ex works for Thrivent, which is they used to be like a fraternal organization. And that's like he's had Edward Jones recruit him try to recruit him quite a few times. And I just like, there's other financial firms out there that,
want to make people feel like, spiffy and rich and whatever, which I guess, some people have that, but that's what I really like about Edward Jones vibe is that they're customer focused, and it's more about like what is best for the client than about, getting that commission at the end of the day.
Sure.
You know what's best for clients, Laura?
What?
Bourbon.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love bourbon. And do you know what goes really well with bourbon? Andrew, what goes really well with bourbon? I don't know, maybe once a month, like on a Thursday.
Yeah, little BS.
5:30-ish.
Little BS, yeah. So I've got this. It's not a podcast. I call it a podcast-like event. Although I need to figure out a new name for it. I need to figure out a new name for it because podcast-like event is just a mouthful. It doesn't roll off the tongue when I'm trying to describe it.
Hashtag podTALK.
podTALK. I like that. So I've got a podTALK, and once a month, it's a third Thursday of the month at 5:30 called Bourbon B.S. And what it is I just invite a guest whose business or cause that I'd like to highlight, and we enjoy a glass of bourbon. It's virtual right now, and just BS for 45 minutes. I started it back
sometimes an hour.
Yeah, sometimes it goes over. I started it back in December, and we don't talk anything financial, nothing like that. This is we talk. It's a very organic discussion, but it focuses on whatever that person's business cause or whatever it is that we want to highlight with them. And it's gone well so far. I'm actually really, really excited this next month. So it'll be March. Yeah, gosh, February is almost over. We are having, her name is Kristen, and she is an owner of Dance Fam Studio. Yeah. Besides dancing, so we're not going to dance on the podcast, although that would be interesting. We are going to do improv. They teach improv classes, and they do it virtually right now. And I thought that would be really, really cool and fun. So March, I don't know. It's the third Thursday in March, whatever it is. I feel like that this episode will go 25th. Down. Yeah, it will go down in the Bourbon and BS episode Hall of Fame when it comes down 18th. To it.
18th.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
4/11/18.
So
Kristen,
we're gonna improv.
Kristen is a friend. Yeah.
So Kristen is one of our sponsors. She was here last week with us. And as everyone knows, I love the improv. That's actually how we end the show, Andrew, is that you do an improv sketch.
Okay. What am I doing?
We actually pull it out, and then Laura gets what that is, and you've got.
You if you're gonna put me on the spot, at least you have to be prepared to BS your way through it.
He just goes with it, right? Like
he's a yes and. That makes a good. That makes a good improv partner. Is a yes and.
Well, here's the thing about that.
They would be very proud of us. Thank you, Slav, or AKA Slack. We appreciate you.
I was not prepared to do that. In fact, if you actually would have had that, this whole thing prepared to throw on me, it would have given me some anxiety, but I was calling your bluff.
Yeah, you were.
So, yeah.
You're like, yeah, let's do it twice.
Yeah. So had we gotten to that point where you're like, hey, here it is. Well, I didn't think you were serious. So I would have had some anxiety.
Well, we'd have got you through it. Because that's what we do here when we connect communities. That's one of the things you do with Bourbon B.S. is you put those communities out there, right? You were in a local distillery one of our months, which was pretty awesome. You highlighted another local town restaurant one month. So it's really about utilizing your platform, right, and your audience to highlight a business community, because as you know, small businesses, small businesses, this is the time that we definitely got to make sure that we are taking care of them, because that's what we do.
You know who would be a good one for you to chat with, Andrew? Have you heard of Toledo Spirits?
I haven't.
They're a Toledo brewery, and they make liquors and bourbons and tequilas and stuff too. So that they might be a cool one for you, and maybe give you a little sample to try too while you guys are talking.
I was even thinking the Ernest.
Oh, Ernest would be a good
They're
one.
They're one of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta love Ernest.
Yeah, true story. Well, listen, we have more topics to discuss. I know that we started this conversation being excited about Bourbon B.S, and we appreciate your time and energy, Andrew. We love that you were able to kind of give us a best bet, right, on hearing your whys, because I think that is how we connect with people, especially with folks in the financial industry, right? You've got to have that connection, that trust with them. So I think that showcases who you are. And again, being able to watch you grow over this last year and sitting in on networking meetings with you, I get to really see how your words and your actions match up. So, hands up and thumbs out for me, for you at the end of the day. So with thinking of hands out and thumbs up, what day is it that Biden has been in, Laura? How many days are we in?
Oh, you know what? I just actually took that off. But I think it was like it's only been 34, 33. Okay. Yeah, so it has not been that much, but yeah.
Andrew, you will learn that Laura is the queen of countdowns, so she will count down every and anything, right?
Yeah, I had to put a new countdown on my countdown thing, my countdown to my final divorce date. So okay.
No pun intended, but it trumped it. Okay.
It did. Yeah. So yep, we've got just about 33, 34 full days of the Biden administration. We had confirmation hearings this week for the Attorney General, Merrick Garland's. Confirmation hearings were really, really powerful. He was talking about getting back to the core mission of the Justice Department, which really was a civil rights mission. He talked about his family, his family's journey to the U.S. And his family escaping, his grandparents surviving in Nazi Germany. It was just a really great, he's been in sort of the political zeitgeist for a few years, seeing as he was supposed to be President Obama's Supreme Court nomination, and then, lots of things happened. So his name's been bounced around for a while. So it was really nice to actually see him get a day and have his testimony and hear from him himself. That was really cool. I know I work for the Small Business Administration for the federal government. So I'm getting a new boss today. There's confirmation hearings for the Small Business Administrator today. But yeah,
Fine.
we did have came out just actually in the last few days. The president has opened a new migrant child detention center. So we're not, that's something that folks are, activists especially, are really pushing back on. The whole concept of detaining kids is not, is basically where they're at. People are at that we don't want to detain kids. We should get this is basically putting kids in jail is terrible for them after they've gone through this really traumatic journey to get to the United States. So that's our first little hiccup with the Biden administration, that people who are more liberal have come up in their first real headbutt with him. Oh, also there's a whole thing too about like his nominee to lead the Office of Management and Budget, which is like, that office is just as boring as it sounds. And so like, but the person that that Biden nominated has, and I think we're going to see more of this as time goes on. She's a tweeter. She's tweeted things, and people don't always like, obviously it's anything with any social media. People aren't always going to like what you post. So we're having, the content of people's tweets are now being discussed in confirmation hearings for the federal government. So that's where we are in the world, but it's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. She might not actually be able to be confirmed because there have been some centrist Democrats that have come out and said that they're not sure that they can support her based on the tweets, but more about just like, basically they're saying that it's a judgment to, of what you put out there, which,
Sure.
is a valid conversation for folks to have. And I definitely think that as, I think that people entering the job market now are dealing with that more and more of having to be, not realizing that social media and what you think, things that you say on the internet are forever. So.
And
They sure
having
are.
to deal with the consequences of that, something you tweeted off in a moment of passion, can
Will
come back to you. Yeah. And
It sure
I'm just
does.
as guilty of it. Believe me, I'm not, I'm not sitting over here on any high horse.
I mean,
That's
we didn't
for
have
sure.
Facebook. So I mean, if we would have had
Oh yeah. Facebook was when I was in college, that's when Facebook was just started.
Yep.
And it was
Well, it was only for college people. The
Right,
only way you
had
could
to have
sign
a
on is if you had a
college.
school address.
Correct. And that's
Andrew's
and
like,
I
look, I
remember,
just signed on to Facebook last week. What
Yeah.
are you saying?
but I
No,
remember being in the sorority then and saying, y'all have to be careful about what you're gonna post on this Facebook. So
Yeah.
It's scary because especially when you're raising kids, because when we were kids, you could do something stupid or say something stupid and it would be forgotten about 6 months later, even 6 years later, right? And if it wasn't forgotten about at that point, you could still deny it and have, well, that really wasn't the way it happened.
Right.
You always had
Right.
that card you could play, but you can't do that anymore.
Right.
Right.
Because that memory will post up and be like 1 year ago, 5 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
You're like, no.
And how are the employers and other people in this world going to respond? Are we going to forgive that because so and so was a freshman in high school when they said something? Are we going to hold that against them? I don't know.
I think it's a very valid situation. I believe that the person in most situations, and I would like to assume, right, that 22-year-old is not that 25-year-old. That 22-year-old is not that 30-year-old. And that 22-year-old is dang not that 40-something-year-old, right?
exactly.
You get a pass, right? You get a pass. Growth had to occur, right? You know what I mean? But you can't be held accountable for your actions at 22 when you're 40 if you have grown, right?
Right.
Laura,
if you yeah, I think exactly. I think that's, and this is what is going to be, what people are going to have to figure out, because there's the whole conversation about cancel culture and how, one mistake gets you, canceled or whatever. And I do think that we're all going to have to like grow up a little bit and live in nuance in the gray area and give people a chance to, to grow from what, they've done in the past, and I think that we can all admit that, like, what is it? There's that Britney Spears documentary that's really popular right now, and you go
so
back
popular
and
they
watch
did
that.
a skit about Justin apologizing to
Yeah, I heard.
her. Yeah.
And so like, that's still in that's in the 2000s. That's the early 2000s. And you go back and look at that and how people talked about and to her, it's so gross and demeaning. But it's not like we're not canceling Diane Sawyer because she asked Britney Spears if she was a virgin in an interview. You know what I mean? It's like we realize, you look at it now and say, okay, that was pretty gross the way we treated people. We shouldn't do that anymore. And then you
don't do it anymore. And I think the same, like, we've all figured it out, like the way that we treated Monica Lewinsky was pretty terrible. And so we've grown and been like, maybe it wasn't her fault. It's just, as long as people grow and change and learn from your mistakes, and as long as there are certain mistakes, I think that depending on, there's certain language and whatnot that for me, that I have hard lines on people.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think having or making comments, dressing up on Halloween, making fun of, poking, having racist or discriminatory views or thoughts in your early 20s, catches up to you at 40.
Yeah.
If you don't have those same thoughts or feelings,
Yeah.
are you forgiven or are you a racist? I mean,
you know, well,
that's a very valid
here's
question.
Thing. Yeah, here's the thing, and this is the thing that, like, you know, we're about to get real deep here, guys. But that makes everybody uncomfortable is we're all a little racist, and we all just like need to admit that about ourselves and work to not be it. So as long as you're actively working against those things and you're learning and you're trying to, you know, every day make sure that your actions aren't negatively impacting somebody else, then, you know, everybody can grow. I mean, shoot, there's that guy, there's a younger guy that was like literally part of the Proud Boys and like the KKK and like that whole thing. And I cannot remember his name, but like David Duke, who is like a grandmaster of the KKK, is literally his godfather. And he's out of all of that now. He was raised in it, and at 22 extricated himself, you know, and has learned and grown. And it's like, no, that's obviously someone who has made a change. And so you're not going to hold them to something that they've worked, especially someone that's working that hard to learn about other people, you know. I think that's the thing is we just don't give we don't give people enough room to grow.
That's a good thought process. I think
we need to learn to live with more nuance.
Live with more nuance. Well, what brought it up is, Andrew, Laura, are you guys familiar with Bachelor Nation, like the Bachelor franchise as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you know Chris Harrison.
Oh, that's right. I don't know I don't know. I know he said some things, but I don't remember.
Here it is. And I'm going to say this right now.
Wait, who is Chris Harrison?
He is the host of this. He's been the host for like 20 plus years, right? So he's kind of like the Ryan Seacrest of the Bachelor.
He says who's getting the rose? Like that's the extent of his.
He's very friendly with the girls. He's their friend.
Yeah, he is.
So here's the situation: is one of the Bachelor this year's Bachelor is a black man, first in history. It's a whole other subject.
Right.
Yeah. And listen, they only did it because of Black Lives Matters. 2 weeks after that happened, they announced the black host. So Bachelor. I got you, ABC. Right. So black gentleman, black lead. They had one of the bachelorettes. Do you know what the Bachelor is, Andrew?
Like the show itself?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm familiar with the show. I don't watch it, but I
just want to make sure if you didn't, I was going to fill you in. So one of the bachelorettes had made a racist comment in her early 20s at a Halloween party. She dressed like Southern Belle or something, right? And that was her views there. Well, in an interview with Chris Harrison, he defended her by saying, hey, let's hear her story. Well, then he got slammed because he was agreeing and defending her ways and so forth and so on. So he has since stepped away from his role and has taken some time away to separate until that gets crazy. Now, I don't believe that his comments came from a personal opinion as much as a host.
Yeah.
Someone that was marketing the series. Hey, guys, let's not assume we don't know the story. He wasn't saying what she said was right? He was just saying, let's just hear. And I think he's getting attacked for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it's, they are I'm obviously more of a liberal person, so I partake in more liberal media. And I think it's been interesting that on MSNBC, they've been bringing Al Franken back every once in a while. He resigned from the Senate, having some photos come up of when he was an actor, acting inappropriately with women, and then had, women corroborate that he would do and say inappropriate things. And I think some of it even did end up extending to like when he was first getting into politics, blah, 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 whatever. But, he was canceled, at a point in time. He resigned from Congress, and now he's slowly coming back in. So I do hope that there is room for people to have, hey, it's like, hey, let's figure this all out. It's what I mean, if someone's in at 22 and in blackface, I think we can, agree that we we all know at this point in 2021, in the year of our Lord, that blackface is inappropriate and offensive, and what it means. So, like, if it's something serious, then yeah, it's hard to want to hear someone's, justification when they should dang well know better here, at this point in time. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to let someone try to, and especially we need to give them that space. What if they don't want to explain? What if they just want to apologize?
Right.
And we take that away from them. So yeah, I always do. But see, I'm also a person that generally likes to give folks the benefit of the doubt, like, in general. I'm just an empathetic, I think that's what it is. More people need to be more empathetic and, like, see how someone could get to, we've all gotten, like, I mean, I don't know, I've gotten very, very angry and have said, mean things to people I love, but, like, that's, you have relationships with them, so you apologize and you rebuild that. And it's like, I think we all just need to do that with each other. Just get, we all have moments.
But the issue is what you just described, is those disagreements, those things that you're saying that you don't mean in the heat of the moment, are happening behind closed doors. It's not in the public eye.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So those people are going to be much more forgiving because they do care about you. So if everybody can see that, though, no matter what, as much as we're saying we need to give people room to grow, I agree. Like, everyone on this call has way too much logic, right? So
yeah.
I think that, but if it happens in the public eye, there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that are never going to forgive that. They're going to hold that against you, and they're not going to give you that room to grow. So I think that's where the issue is. And some of those people are going to be, in positions of authority and positions that of influence. And in that case, what do you do?
I think
you grow from that too.
I think words are super important, right? But I also think people assume on silence.
Mm-hmm.
I do, right? Sometimes I have found myself writing the script, right? If I say something, you're supposed to say something else. And if you don't say that, then there's conflict, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, prior to my, I've said it as well, I see a therapist, right? I see it weekly, because that's what I need that's my mental health day, which are typically Tuesdays now, just saying. So I think to have those conversations are extremely important. And again, not to assume on the words that aren't spoken, right? Because that is just as powerful. That's when you get in your head, right? When you're not reassured for whatever it is. I think in every relationship, a business relationship, a family relationship, a romantic relationship, we all have roles. And the moment that role changes, the relationship will change. I have friends who I love absolutely 100%. I trust with my life. If I would call and say, this is what I need, they would say, I have the shovel. Where am I going? I will get the burner phones, right? Like, no doubt in my mind. True story. That same person, when they say, hey, Brian, what's going on? How are you? My response is, oh, I'm good. What's going on with you? Right? Like, I'm not going to share my problems with you. No, I do, right? But in general, and it's that same thing. But the moment that changes, the moment I'm stopped listening to their problems and put mine on them, or whatever that is, it being that you're a giver or you're a taker, or you go out and you take care of the lawn, right? The moment you stop doing the lawn, that message is now delivered, right? So I think those nonverbal are just as important. You know, one of the things in my relationship, which is so funny, because again, I love talking about things, right, is that communication flow. And to be able to say, hey, this is not cool, this isn't what I want to do, or whatever that looks like. And to be in that safe zone. I think you need to be able to have safe conversations. Too many times we are in these relationships, again, whatever that looks like, and we walk on eggshells. I am assuming you had a bad day today, so I don't want to come home and tell you about my bad day. You can't handle that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? Business aspect. You walk in and you know that Betty just had, you know, a death in her family. Well, she's late 3 times. I mean, you can't go tell Betty now that she's gonna get wrote up. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that we just got to sometimes figure out the long term versus short term.
Exactly.
Make sense?
And like Andrew said, I think we all need to just remember that we're, you know, whether or not we have close interpersonal relationships with each other, we're all related and, you know, living on this earth and in this society together. So it's hard. I have to practice what I preach. I get it. It's not always easy, but
we all do.
You know,
listen, we ran 10 minutes over, so this show's just a little bit longer than our normal. It's connecting communities expanded. We should have an unscripted version, like late at night. You know, we go.
Oh boy.
We're on at 3 o'clock in the morning on CW. We're 10 minutes before the beep. Okay, you just gotta catch us.
10 minutes before the beep. That's
Do you remember back? Andrew, you probably don't remember this.
You always say that. How old do you think I am?
I'd say early 30s.
Everybody's a teenager.
I will be 36 in 3 days.
That's still a baby.
I can run for president. I'm old enough to run for president.
Right? Old enough to be president. So back in my day, because we were poor at the time and we didn't have cable. We had a satellite and it was ridiculous because we lived deep in the country, right? But back in my day, I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up to like the flag and the our national song or just the beep, right? Nowadays, there's just TV constantly on, so you don't get that. You know what else you don't get anymore? Busy signals. Okay.
Oh.
What happened to busy signals? And what happened to the enjoyment of slamming down the phone on someone?
You call the right pizza place.
Pushing the button is not as powerful. Okay.
No.
If you call the right pizza place, you will get a busy signal, and I promise you, it will anger you just as much as it used to.
Yeah, I just did that with a Chinese place. Now that you say that, which is kind of funny, and then they ended up closed. And I walked in.
Yeah, you call you.
I'm not sure why I did that accent. It was kind of like Jamaican and a little Caribbean. Like
well, you call like 10 times, 20 times, and then finally you're like, there must be something wrong with their phone, right? There's no way that someone can be on that other line so long. And in reality, you call one more time and you get through.
Speaking of pizza, Andrew, I don't know if they have any where you are. I know they have them
pizza?
in Ann Arbor. No, this specific restaurant I'm about to name. But I am in love with Blaze. Laura, do you like Blaze?
Yeah. It's a chain restaurant, Andrea. They're wood fried pizzas. And they're just like, that thin crust with that sort of like Neapolitan type of pizza. They're very yummy. And I think you just might have decided what I'm ordering for lunch today. So
you could order it for breakfast. I just read something this morning that said that nutritionists say that pizza is healthier for breakfast than most breakfast cereals. So don't feel bad.
I can see
Eat
that.
Pizza for breakfast.
Oh my gosh,
I do like pizza for breakfast. Yeah, cold pizza. And I put mine in a plastic bag. So when I put, I have so many
There's a theme going on here. There's a theme of plastic bags.
Well, this is why. Because the crust gets hard. Right? The crust gets hard.
Yeah.
So I put it in a crust so that way it's still flimsy. So I can do 2 options. If I'm lazy, I put it in the microwave with a wet towel over top, again, to keep it. Or I'll put it in my cast iron so the crust gets a little crispy again.
Yes, that's what it is. The cast iron.
So,
yeah, you can't microwave pizza. That is a sin. I can't believe you actually do that.
You keep it in a plastic bag.
Well, what's that do? Doesn't it get soggier if you do that?
It doesn't get hard. So the crust doesn't get crunchy.
You would rather have soggy crust?
Well, that's why you have the iron cast skillet where you could crisp up the crust. But if you're lazy in a hurry quick, you could throw it in the microwave.
I
I'm just
think
going to
the
eat it from
next-
sitting on the counter.
Listen, the next podcast that you should do is the proper way to warm up pizza. We need to get to the bottom of this, because I think
just
there's
eat
a
it.
lot of I think there's a lot of issues with the way you're doing it, and we need to pick that apart sometime.
I don't warm it up. I prefer just to eat it sitting on the counter the next day. Okay.
You don't even put it in the fridge. It just, you go over to the box. It's been sitting on the counter. Yeah, that's better than warming it up in a plastic
I
bag.
gave options. Okay. That was my only point, is I was given options.
All right, fair enough. I'll allow you room to grow, Brian. Listen, I will allow you room to grow. I will not hold this against you. Right? If
will
you
not
grow,
hold your pizza bag against you.
yeah, we've come full circle. There you go. Like, I will
There it
never bring
is.
up the fact that you don't know how to warm up pizza again, as long as you grow into a proper way to warming up your
Expand?
pizza. Yes.
Can I expand? See, that was the point. Yeah. Okay. Laura, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Thanks everybody for joining us this week. Thank you to our guest, Andrew Stapleton. I'm Laura Lee. What? 1E, yes, Stapleton, 1E. I'm Laura. You can find me at Toledo Talks on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is Brian. You can find him wherever you can find connecting communities. And we'll see you back here next week. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Bye.